Well, it's going fine. We've got the trucks going over Zoe's road and now heading towards the new road, and apparently Rex is on the new road now and he says he's picked up their tracks going south, so I'm just shooting around to Triple M just to double check that they haven't crossed out already. It seems as though they were moving this morning, so Rex reckons that those tracks are already on top of our vehicle tracks going that way, so I think we've just been looping around and missing them every time. But let's check Triple M and hope that they haven't crossed out already. I'm hoping that they will be on the new road and just sitting down there as they sometimes do, but let's just make 100% sure. Whenever you're doing tracking, it's always good just to double check the boundary, because otherwise if they're out then you're just wasting your time on the tracks themselves following it through. And if Rex is on those tracks and I can follow from this side and just double check, then it's going to make life a lot easier for all of us and make double sure that they're not in any way out of the property, and then we can concentrate on following those tracks properly. But it's been a frustrating morning of going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and these lions have walked all over the place with the dogs as well. So what are these tracks here? Hold on. No, that's just all the dog tracks coming in from last night. So this is where they obviously came back from the western sector and into this area. So they must have spent quite a bit of time in the west. I mean, it's been about 3-4 days now that they've been that side. So nice that they're back, and hopefully they'll spend a bit more time around our area. And now Rex reckons that these lions, I thought I heard something. I thought I heard a kudu bark or something like that, but I just want to double check. No, quiet. So Rex reckons that these tracks going south are definitely for the Nkuma Pride, but so Pride has crossed. We've seen their tracks go in over the years. Saying if they have gone that direction, and maybe it's because they
Sorry guys, just refueling on coffee to be able to fight off all these gremlins that are attacking us this morning. Now I think it's got to do a lot with the weather. We find it that when we have a lot of clouds like we do today, then sometimes the gremlins come out and play. So I wonder if they actually get carried all the way here in the on the clouds. But we have left our lovely elephants, and I'm not too sure where we're gonna go. I think we're gonna head down to some of the central part of Djuma and eventually make our way towards Swindon, see what's lurking around there, see if we can get that leopard for VM. Because I think it's a bit unacceptable that none of them have actually come out. So here's to hoping, because I think Tristan's quite busy with those lions. Him walking and those lions walking straight on top of his tracks. That is just rude. I hate it when that happens. Makes you feel like they've been watching you all this time. Well, let's have a look down here and see what is lurking. I think wild dogs are definitely gone. Haven't heard any more updates. I don't think anyone's been able to them again. And from each other, and in the process they're also hunting. I think it's safe to say that there's going to actually try and find them. So we shall carry on and see what else we can find around this beautiful area. I am hoping for maybe some Tandi and Tamba. Maybe we're gonna go check the Molowachi somewhere towards where Tristan had that leopardy feeling, as he calls it, yesterday. Maybe we'll get lucky. Or also perhaps even Hosanna somewhere around here. Shangili seems to hang out very close to the lodge, and we've constantly heard alarm calls and monkeys and baboons, but we can't find anything. So it's our suspicion that perhaps she's been hanging out on that. A nice addition. And then, well, I'm obviously counting on Tristan. Nothing. Alright, so across to Tristan onto Triple M, and hopefully he'll be able to spot the lions not too long from now.
No, we won't, because the lions have gone to Arethusa, so that's the end of that. They're on a kudu kill on Arethusa, so we're going to just leave it right there and carry on now. Go and try and find something else to look for. Can be a little on the frustrating side when you follow tracks all morning over a boundary like that. But anyway, it's at least we know where they are and where they crossed. They crossed just behind me, basically, into Arethusa, and had a good time by the sounds of things. They've just killed a kudu right now, so they've just found them on that area, and it's pretty much straight to the west of where I am now. So we were on the right track, and at least that's where they are. Now I do need to let Rex know that they are gone on that side. Rex. So I don't know, guys, I'm on foot now. There it is. Cross into Arethusa. They've located them on that side. Now I do also apologize about all the bumps, because the bumps are horrific at the moment, and this is unfortunately the way Triple M is, and so hopefully we'll be okay and we'll eventually get towards a road that we can take that's not so bumpy. What's that? So I don't know. Sorry, Sensor, I can't hear you, bud. So our camera's even being shaken around a little bit, so sorry about that, everybody. It's even come off its brackets to a degree. It just seems as though it's going to be one of the being full of nonsense today. So we'll have to try and have like somewhere along the way. Good. So hopefully it will all stable out now. This is not too complicated in this second, better. It's normally quite bad a little further away, but this poor sensor is having to hold the camera at the moment because it's off its brackets. So if we can just link away to Ellie, which we can do, and just so we can fix the camera and get it back onto its mount, let's do that, and let's see where Ellie is and whether or not she's in the Mulawati yet.
Oh no, I'm sorry to hear that the Nkahuma's crossed, but kudos to Tristan for tracking them for so long and figuring it out where they've gone and what they've been up to during the night. It was quite useful also for us to know what the wild dogs had been up to. Now, we haven't found too much around here, likely because the dogs were running somewhere around this area, and to be honest, if I were an antelope, I would also be running away from here if I could smell anything that, you know, reminded me of a wild dog. So I think we're going to carry on with our track. Oh, look at this. This is where all the Impala have been hiding. And here I am saying how we should all run away from wild dogs. You guys clearly didn't get the memo. This beautiful bachelor herd, they got lucky because some of the wild dogs did run in this general direction, but then they carried on going north. So they would have had a feast chasing these girls around for a good meal. Looking all very peaceful. It's amazing, isn't it? We know that the wild dogs have been running around not too far from here creating chaos, and here are these girls peacefully feeding away. Not a worry. Just carrying on with life as if nothing. Interesting how sometimes you've got to be at the right place at the right time to know what's actually been going on in some other parts. Beautiful colors, and we've got a young boy that's likely next year May is going to have a bit of a tough time holding on to his particular breeding herd, and he's going to be kicked off and have to carry on moving. Now they are going into an area that's a little bit tough to film because they're just going behind the bushes, so we're going to leave them and carry on. But at least we have found some life, so we know that we are on the right track to potentially find some more beautiful creatures. And I don't think we can complain. It's been quite an interesting morning. It's been lots of ups and downs, and I know it's been stressing me out. So I can imagine, or I hope, well, stressing in the good way for the anticipation. So I'm hoping everybody else has also had that feeling on Seems like Tristan has been properly and physically attacked by gremlins. So you guys are on with us for a little while. Now hopefully, let's see if maybe we can find a leopard in this next while. Make it our challenge. Start looking for tracks. But then definitely let's head on to Trindam, Mulawati and that area, because we know that that's normally where leopards like to be. And who knows, maybe we'll try to get a hold of Chitwa and find out if there's anything happening around that area. What's been going on around here? It has gotten colder, I must say. I think it started out being a warmer morning than what it actually is now, because I had to put on an extra jacket. And just in case, I've got Tristan's gloves, in case my fingers start freezing and falling off. Go away. There was a little dove on the road, and it's funny because they always fly and they carry on and then they stop and then they walk a little bit in front of us and then they fly and then they stop on the road again. I think it would be just easier if they poof carried on flying away from us. Now I wonder if we're gonna get lucky with any other raptors around here. Going back to, I think it was James's question yesterday, you were wondering about the different morphs of raptors in this particular area and which one has got one of the most, or which one has got more different color morphs. So the only other one that Tristan could think of was honey buzzard, if I'm not mistaken, that also has all sorts of different colorations and it morphs, and it just makes it very complicated. I think another bird that is also hard to spot, but this is not an eagle, are the what's the name? The sunbirds. We've also had it where we've spotted some birds in the Kruger and we've sent it to people and be like, oh, we don't really know what it is, and people are just confused as us. So I think we ended up deciding that it was an immature variable sunbird, I think it was. Can't remember now. But it was just a very confusing view of all of it. But I suppose that's the challenge with birds. They're always there, changing colors and being very pretty and posing for photos, and then they just gotta confuse everyone. We'll see. Alright, let's see what else is around this road. There's been no sign of those buffalo though. The buffalo that the Nkuhumas were chasing yesterday, I think they probably just got a bit of a fright and ran straight back to Manileti. Like, no thank you, too many lions here, bye. And poof, off they went. Good to know that the girls, however, have managed to make a kill today and have something to eat. I didn't know I was in here with all these trucks going in there. Louis, you're saying that there are lots of delicious coffees from Africa, and you're wondering if we have any favorites. Well, I think that just down in this area, I've only tried I've actually tried a few of them. Rwanda makes really good coffee. Ethiopia makes very good coffee. I don't like, however, the Ethiopian one too much, because I think because of the soil where it's grown, it's a little bit too acidic for my taste. I like coffee that's a little bit more, I don't know how to say it. What's the coffee term? Sweeter? Huh?
It's also made of civet poop.
Yes, a civet poop. Yeah, but okay. I've also tried that one, to be honest. So the Tanzania one is also very good. Megan in FC says that BM's favorite is coffee, which is actually not coffee but chicory. So I can't drink that one. And funny enough, we were all desperate because again we ran out of coffee in the camp and it was just a disaster. We were all like, no. I haven't dug into any coffee, I promise you. I've still got a little bit of a stash because we went through this disaster a few months ago, so I always have a little stash of coffee just in case, that it's for emergencies only. And it saved us this morning. Lou was also very grateful about that coffee. But yeah, so we also have the civet coffee. Wow, mongoose, which I'll tell you all about once we manage to find this mongoose. Can you see it? Okay. Trying to find this mongoose. Aww. Was it a dwarf mongoose? Slender! Oh, that would have been so cool. Alright, well, I think it's gone away. Now, the civet coffee. Now that's a famous coffee, and I think they got the idea from the Kapilowak, which is its relative all the way in Asia. And what they do is they farm the civet, and because of the anal glands that the civet has got, they feed coffee beans to the civet. And when the civet defecates the coffee, then the coffee gets roasted and so on and so on and so on. So you're actually eating, or you're drinking rather, the coffee that's been pooped by a civet. I tried it once. It is incredibly expensive. Like a little cup, like espresso size, is about 100 rand, which is about $8. So I've only done this once in my life, just because I felt like it was a thing that I had to do, and I only tried it in Cape Town. And to be honest, I didn't see what the big deal about this coffee was. It was just strange to the taste, because you almost feel like it's got some, I don't know how to explain it. It's got like a greasy layer, like it doesn't mix with the milk as well. So it was quite a strange one. And then obviously I started reading, because once you learn about something, you've always got to go and research it, about how some of these farms treat the animals and so on. And then after that I was just like, oh, no, better not to do it ever again. But I do know that there's a lot of dilemmas going on around it as to if we should be actually even giving animals coffee beans and so on. I'm not too sure where that debate ended up. I should actually carry on following up and seeing what the story was. But yeah, I've also tried the pooped coffee, which was quite something. That was, and Tristan, well, he doesn't drink coffee, so he's just subjected to all my coffee drinking habits. Sorry guys, this was definitely unexpected, so that's why I'm laughing. Okay, let me call it in on the radio, because we've been very lucky, and I know there were a lot of people very desperate to come and follow up. Now I think this is a smaller pack. I'm gonna try and go a little bit further up just to see how many individuals there are around here. I see some blood on your face. You've definitely been eating. So sorry, I'm just gonna call them in on the radio, like I said, just to let everybody else have a bit of a chance. Stations I've located: Madach, Spaghetti Junction. This was very unexpected. But what a great surprise. It's just one MOVA and about 6 individuals. No, they're fairly static for now. Okay, copy. Alright. So we've done our good ranger duty, and we've informed everyone else of what's going on. Guys, I just said that you were static. Don't start running. Alrighty. I think this might be the initial pack that we saw, because there's only 6 here, and I wonder if perhaps there aren't 3 more in the up at the top where we can see them. But very nice to have found you guys again. Proves that when you stop looking for things, and they come around. Alright, let's follow them around. Rashni, you're wondering if a pack will tolerate members from another pack. Well, there's a lot of, indeed, here are some of the other ones. So I think this is the one that we actually started with. There's a lot of migration in between packs, and animals will go from one pack to the other, but as long as they remain submissive, then that tends to be okay if they want to try and get into a new area. Not a new area, into a new pack. However, like the case that we had today, where they were all of them fighting with one another, even if we couldn't see it, and some of the rangers reported that this is what's happening, when you have 2 formed in packs that are pretty set, it's not, they will not accept another pack coming into their particular area. Hello? Are you coming to inspect us? I think maybe they'll probably look at us and be like, ugh, this humans stink. Beautiful. Alright. They're all walking around us. Gray, you're wondering if wild dogs descend from wolves like other dogs. My common guess would be that yes, that they all come from a common ancestor, because they're all canids. However, I'm not too sure how closely related they are. Oh, there's a lot more wild dogs here. Okay, so maybe this is not the same pack that we saw earlier on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Ooh. I'm not comfortable with you sneezing as much, wild dog. I'm just hoping this is spring. let's just go a little bit further on. Rex, they've just stepped in those mud wallows close to Twin Dams Road, so if you come up Twin Dams then you'll see us there. Well, this is definitely not the same pack that we started off with this morning. Sorry guys, I didn't mean to push you away. I'm gonna have to think about where's probably... We go around here, this is probably the best view if we go to our left, because then we'll be able to see all of them. Beautiful. Well, this was quite a bonus. Did not expect to find them again, and this is not where they were running. So I don't understand who we're looking at and what's been going on, or how fast they've been running, but they've definitely fooled all of us. I wouldn't be surprised if some of them actually went all the way to Sydney's Dam and then all the way back here, and then that's what happens when you run for too long. You get very tired, and then you have to sleep for a very long time. Look at those slender legs. Amazing to think that such a little body is able to run for such a long time. Alright, VM, I'm gonna go to our left here so that we can have probably a better look of all of them. So I'm just gonna go around. Hopefully that'll be better. Alright. Now we can choose. We've got all the dogs here. Yeah. 11 of them. So I wonder if perhaps it could have happened that some of the pack actually split up and then they went off running somewhere else. Wouldn't be rare for that to happen amongst wild dogs, and then later on, as they get tired of running around, likely they're going to start looking for each other. Because the initial ones that we saw, the pack of 9, or when they were just 9, they started contact calling, and they make that very interesting call. They go woo woo, and they start making a call like that, and they were looking for some more pack members. So I wonder actually what we've been looking at the whole morning. Seems like it's been very confusing. Rashni, you wonder if the policies are different when intervening with animals that are very rare, maybe in comparison to some of their animals. That is a tough question. So normally, for example, the problem with wild dog is they get a lot of snares, so that is one thing, and they get affected a lot by diseases that are brought in by domestic dogs, so diseases that are not commonly found out here in the wild, like distemper and rabies. So when that is the case, they do or they have done preventive treatment just to make sure that these animals or that these packs don't entirely disappear, because often they will come into contact with common dogs or domestic dogs. So there is a bit of that involved, particularly in the Kruger area, and I know there's been a lot of effort to try and vaccinate them against distemper and rabies, but it's hard to find them, because these are the type of vaccines that you've got to vaccinate them more than once. And I know that Grant and Tristan have had a wonderful time trying to look for wild dogs in some areas of the Kruger and some reserves outside of Kruger, just to try and be able to dart them and then just give them the necessary inoculations. Now, in terms of if a reserve would intervene, I think it would probably be just analyzed on a what do you call this? On every specific cases. It depends on what exactly is happening. So for example, if a wild dog were eaten or hurt by a pride of lions, likely they would not intervene, because that is nature and nature has to run its course. And particularly the reserve that we're in, they try to minimize their intervention just to keep this as wild as possible. However, with a disease with something like rabies or something like that, which is highly contagious, and they would probably just get involved and try to find out what is happening before too many things happen, or that they spread it onto other species. That would be my guess. But like I said, they normally just analyze it and decide on every specific case. So there's not one general rule, but in terms of that, having said that, the common denominator is if they can avoid intervening, because it's a natural thing that will occur. It doesn't matter if humans are around or not around, then they'll leave it to follow its own course. If it's something else, then they might assess it and then intervene. Look at them, all sleeping very tightly around here. Some of them have got still some red in their faces, so I'm sure they've been eating some things and causing chaos all around. You guys, are you all sleeping? They all seem to be exhausted, to be honest. Ah, there's the one with the color. So you've got to be part of the Investec Pride, I would say. Pride. Pack, I'm sorry, pack. But definitely not the ones that we saw this morning, so I wonder what the other pack was, actually. Yeah, I am just so very confused about all these dogs that we've been seeing today. Definitely a group of 9, and then a group of... How many did we count the second time? 13, 11. I think it was about 11. Yeah, it's been very... Sorry, I just need to hop onto the radio to direct somebody onto the sighting. Standing by. Yeah, you can make your way. It's just me here for the time being. I don't know if Rex is still responding. Just come past the drainage line towards Trindams and then you will see us there. We're pretty much on the road. Alrighty, sorry about that. Oh my goodness. My Dutch, the wild dogs. On those mud pans between Trindams and Spaghetti Junction. Not a problem, just find out from Rex if he is still making his way. Alright guys, I think I'm going to be a very nice human being, and there's somebody that hasn't even been able to see them, so I'm gonna let them come into this sighting. Yeah, you can both make your way. I'll pull out. Sorry, the people talk a lot on the radio. You can both make your way. I'll make space for you. Alright, so we're going to stick around with them. I think we've got another maybe 10-15 minutes before all of the other vehicles come around, because some people were not listening to the radio, so they're like, oh, did you find them again? What's going on? So I think we got lucky into bumping into them, and we had a wonderful sighting this morning. So I think it's only fair that we keep good relations with everyone else and also allow some other people to come and have a look, because a lot of people didn't actually manage to have a nice view of them. But we can enjoy their company for a little while, and just to throw a spanner in the wheels, as Tristan would say, we do know that one of them is colored, so we know for sure that this is the Investec pack. Now it's probably just going back to trying to figure out who the other ones were. You're all looking so pretty this morning. Beautiful dogs. Now this is probably a good way to spend this part of the day. They've been running around like crazy the whole morning, and now they found a very good spot out in the open where they can just relax and enjoy the day, or enjoy the rest of the day. So I see some of the people are arriving. Michael, you're wondering what is the most wild dogs I've seen together. Well, we used to have a pack, I can't remember the name, around Lion Sands. And there were about 21 of them, so that was probably the big one. But in altogether, I think if we consider that these were two different packs of over 10 individuals each, likely, I'm hoping now, I'm just throwing it out there because I'm not 100% sure of how many different ones we've actually seen this morning, but today would also add up. But in one go, the most that I've seen is 21. It was quite a sighting, that one, of like just dogs everywhere running around and playing and doing all sorts of things. So it's always nice to see them. And like I said, winter is a great time to start seeing wild dogs, but other than that, some other times of the year are not ideal because it's just hard. And as you've seen today, they run into the bushes and they dash in there and they don't stop, and they're not as big as some of the other creatures to follow around, and their camouflage is actually fantastic, so it makes it quite hard for us to try and follow them. So any time spent with wild dogs is wonderful time. You guys, nobody would believe us unless they had been with the morning with us and spent it dashing about in the bush when they sleep like this. Beautiful. Maggie, you're wondering how the wild dogs actually bring down their prey, if they go through their throat or their legs. So when they start running like that, they just pretty much try to bring them down, as in like they'll either bite the tail or a leg or just anything where they can try and get hold of them. But wild dogs are very well knowing. The first thing that they do is that they disembowel their prey. So they'll go for the stomach and try to take their stomach contents and everything out, and normally the prey dies very quickly out of shock. Rex, you can make your way. Alright, well, it seems that somebody else wants to go, so we can spend a few more minutes with them. Beautiful. You could fool anyone that you're actually this tame and sleepy, like the lions. Alright guys, I see another vehicle coming in, so we are going to leave them just to make space for some of the other stations that didn't manage to have a guy, didn't manage to have a sighting. Jesus, can't even speak. Gee. Alright, we are going to say goodbye to the lovely wild dogs, but while we get ourselves out of here, let's go to Tristan and see if he gets lucky with the hyenas.
Well, not much happening at the hyena den, but these, as far as I can see, are the first dung beetles of the season. So it looks like a couple of them that are creeping out of the ground slowly but surely. So there's these two, and then there look like a third one in the background, but it's the first ones that I've seen for the summer months, which is really very, very cool. So no sign of any hyenas at the moment, which is par for the course and our luck this morning. And so at least we have some dung beetles, which can make me excitable and is really cool to see. It's not something we have seen much of recently, so really, really cool. And this is an interesting type of dung beetle. It's not one that we see very often. In fact, I haven't seen these for quite some time. You can see they've got the little spiky ridges on their backs, which is not normal. Most of the dung beetles we see out here are those big plum colored ones or the emerald ones, which are completely smooth on the back. So these are a slightly different one to what we normally get. And you can see the shovel like head that they're digging through. And now the white stuff that they're crawling around is not soil, that is hyena dung that they are busy crawling around. Not that you'd want to crawl around on hyena dung, but it is very cool to see. Now, Michael, you're wondering when we're going to see our first dung beetles. Well, a little bit of rain that we've had is a good indication that they are starting to come out now. So I'm pretty sure we're going to see lots of them, and this is a bit of a courtship process, I would imagine. They're in a situation where they are going to start breeding, and they're going to start trying to get their dung as rolled and larvae planted as soon as is possible, because at the end of the day, that while the ground is still soft, it's going to dry out very quickly, and so digging and being able to bury balls of dung or larvae or laying eggs of any kind for any of the insects is going to be very difficult once it dries out. So they need to make hay while the sun shines, so to speak, or while the sun doesn't shine, actually, is probably a better way to put it, and to be able to then find dung, 1, and 2, then to lay larvae while it's still wet soil. Although the soil itself is drying out quite fast, the good news is that it looks as though it's getting much brighter today, so hopefully a bit of sun will come out by this afternoon. It's definitely warmed up a bit since yesterday, that's for sure, and that will be promoting a lot of growth as well as insect life over the next couple of days, which is fantastic. But you can see the grass is almost alive with insects moving, and look at the power that they have. I know grass is not very heavy stuff, but if you consider the size of these beetles in relation to the pieces of grass and how they're able to move lots of that moribund up and around, and move bits of grass stalks and even various other things. Oh, pugnacious ant as well arriving, or is it Polyrhacus? Let's see, looks like maybe Polyrhacus. Yes, it is Polyrhacus that is arriving on the scene as well. It's been a while since we've seen Polyrhacus ants moving around as well, and just coming and checking around what's going on. It's not going to be any harm towards that dung beetle, but dung beetle, you can see, is just kicking it away. It's like, off you go, I'm not interested in you, you must go somewhere else. And so the ant is then scuttled off. Now Polyrhacus you will see on its own quite commonly. It's not always in big groupings together, so it's quite common just to see 1 or 2 by themselves. What are you doing, dung beetle? You see, it's trying to mount the female, so male dung beetle at the back and female in front, and he's trying to get the business done. Whether or not they're actually copulating is anyone's guess at this stage. Now we're just going right over the top, and it's almost like another show of the wild dogs from the other day, where everything is just completely confused, and now we have mating of the head at this stage, which is really not ideal once again. But so cool to see these little guys. Like I say, they such a big part of our summer months. We're going to see so much of them coming out, and they really are one of the most fascinating little creatures, and I love watching dung beetles go about their business. They are incredibly interesting and intriguing. Now these particular ones are quite small still. They're probably, in relation to the size of, they're probably about the size of our thumbnail, the back end of them, and then the little head that comes off. So they're not very large dung beetles. Some of the dung beetles we get here will be very big, be almost the size of my palm when they're fully grown. So these are still little guys and are not the most colorful, but at least it's nice to see them, and it's allowed me a bit of time at the hyena den, because we have no activity otherwise whatsoever. Tina from New Hampshire, you're asking if dung beetles will have specific types of dung that they utilize and need. No, not really. They tend to target more the herbivorous animals like elephant and rhino and hippo, those that are hindgut fermenters. So zebras would also fall into that, I suppose. They're animals that don't digest their food nearly as much as the ruminants, and therefore there's a lot more nutrients within their dung that they're able to utilize and to feed off when they plant their larvae. In this situation now, these beetles are not actually eating this dung. You can see they're not harvesting it, they're not rolling a ball out of it. That dung is hard and is dried very hard, and so it's going to be impossible for them to harvest that. This is more them emerging out of the soil and then just starting to try and mate. There's actually no situation where they're collecting dung from hyena dung. They don't use predator dung at all. They'll use ruminants sometimes, but most of the time will be elephants, hippos, rhinos. Buffalo does get used from time to time, but generally they've so overutilized the nutrients out of that dung that there's not much for the larvae to feed off, so they prefer the animals that have not digested their food nearly as much when they want to roll up balls and feed off them. And it's amazing how quickly these guys will dismantle a ball of elephant dung. You know, a ball of elephant dung is quite big, and you get a whole bunch of dung beetles coming in, and by the afternoon it is completely flattened. There's no ball left there. It's just bits of grass all over the place, and it's completely broken up. So amazing to watch these guys go about their business, and I'm sure a lot of the birds are going to be very happy that dung beetles are around. You'll find the rollers will go after them, hornbills and varying other predatory species, even sometimes the shrikes go after them. So there's going to be a increase in insect activity, which is an increase in food, and hopefully also then means the migratory birds start to arrive back as well. Now, talking about birds, in the background you might be hearing a call, an incessant squeaking call, and that is from our magpie shrikes that have just flown away. Of course they would have just flown away. Again, like I say, it's one of those mornings where things are just happening like that, where trucks are going off the property, hyenas are not at their den, and birds are flying off when we want to show them. At least the dung beetles have been cooperative, although this dung beetle looks like it's on its back now and struggling to get... Come on, there we go. Righted itself. Sometimes the ship does go a little bit awry and they have to then right themselves again. CP, I have never been bitten by a dung beetle, to be honest. And the thing about any beetle is it's only going to be attacked by the beetles that do bite. So things like the longhorn beetles and those kind of things are only going to bite you if you pick them up and play around with them. If you just watch beetles like this, it's very seldom that they're going to come flying towards you and attack you with vicious jaws. More likely it's just when we mess around and pick them up and play around with them. If you leave beetles alone and you don't do that, then no, you won't be bitten. But dung beetles, most of the time you can pick them up. They don't have very big mouth parts because they're not predatory insects. They're not going after food items that are moving and that they have to dismantle, and so generally they don't have very big mouth parts at all. It's very small mouth parts that are just there to process bits of vegetable matter more than anything else. So they won't really bite humans, and I've picked up many a dung beetle in my life, and I've never had an issue with one of them biting me. They do, however, have very sharp points on their legs, and those sharp points are almost claw-like, and they can dig in a little bit and can hurt a bit, but that's only if you're really kind of holding them too tightly. So generally the rule with dung beetles, if you do pick them up, is just to kind of hold your palm flat and let them crawl around and do their thing. But we try and avoid picking up any of the animals out here as much as possible, even the beetles, because you can see with the cameras we've got, we're able to see them absolutely perfectly without having to pick them up and utilize them in any way, or handle them in any way. It's probably the best way to put it. And so we try and leave them to do their own business, and therefore we won't have too many worries about being bitten. Awesome. There you can see there's a third one now that's coming out, so really cool to see. Laura, you're asking how long a dung beetle will live. Well, it depends on the species of dung beetle. There's many different species we get out here. It's not just one species, and each one has a different lifespan. But most of the dung beetles are just seasonal, so we find them kind of coming out in the summer months and then dying off once they've bred. So only a few months, really, from now until March, April, when we start to see them disappearing. So 99% of them are pretty much like that. Once they've bred, they are insects that then die and keel over. And we'll find lots of dung beetle exoskeletons towards the end of the summer months where they've just died, and you find them often around light sources. There's just this exoskeleton that's left after all of it's taken place. So not very long-lived insects, unfortunately, not like their cicada cousins that can live up to 20 years, or the termites as well, 20 years lifespan, which is really quite a long time as well. Right, I think we're going to leave our little dung beetles. No sign of any activity whatsoever at the den site of the hyenas, so we'll probably leave this too and go and check the other hyena den on our way, kind of, well, just to figure out where we're going to go. Now, Hasman, you're asking if we've seen any scorpions or big spiders recently. Well, I've seen scorpions, quite a few of them. We see them through the winter months. If you go and turn over rocks or you dig up dead trees, you will find them just sort of taking it easy inside there. But in terms of big spiders, I haven't seen any of the baboon spiders yet, but I believe Louise last night found our first big golden brown baboon spider, which was in camp, I think. Louise, where was it? By your room, maybe? I don't know. Louise sent me a photo last night asking what it was, but it was a golden brown baboon spider, which is ones that we see the most in this area. And there we go. It was running past James's room and then decided to hide under a bone that we have there. Why we have a bone out there, I'm not really sure, but we do, and so it was running around there, and it's just going to be in hiding until James's return. We know James loves spiders. They've invaded his tent, and now, well, it looks like they're invading his room as well. So it's all happening for James Henry in the spider world. Maybe there's something about him. So now I believe after that it went to Jerry's room. Well, Jerry's room is a good place to go, because Jerry's room has turned into the storeroom for everybody, and so there is a mountain of stuff inside her room and lots of great places for a spider to hang out and hide. So good place for a spider to go, and I wouldn't be surprised the odd snake is lurking around as well as we get into the summer temperatures. Megan is convinced that there is a snake in Connor's old room. In fact, she made me note it in the morning minutes the other day. She insisted that we tell everybody that there was a snake in Connor's room. Of course, she's going to be shaking her head and laughing and saying that she didn't, but we know better. And she says no, because the door was open for the night. There is definitely a snake in Connor's room. Now, just because the door was open for a night, I'm not so sure, but maybe. So Megan is busy giving me trouble in the FC because I'm talking absolute nonsense. She didn't say that, but Lou and I thought it would be funny just to add it to our minutes. She did actually say that there might be a snake, but she didn't say there's definitely. We just added this bit of spice to the story and made it that she was definitely seeing a snake going in that area. So I wouldn't be surprised though, because in our area, in the rooms in DRC, people leave their doors open all the time, and in this kind of weather it is the perfect place for snakes to be. So I wouldn't be surprised we find one in one of the rooms at some stage. I actually had one in my room the other day, funnily enough. It was about 3-4 months ago. We had a spotted bush snake coming through our window, which was quickly then taken back out again, which is fine because they are harmless. Now I'm going to go and check the other hyena den off Gallagher Shortcut, see if Intima's around, and while I do that, let's go see what Ali thinks about all these snakes and spiders in the various rooms.
Well, I'm not a fan of snakes in my room, to be honest. I feel like it's a bit scary, especially when you don't see them and you turn on the light and then they're staring at you. But spiders, I don't have a problem with spiders, other than that for some reason I don't get bitten by mosquitoes, I get bitten by spiders every single summer. I'll have so many bites of them that it's just not ideal. Oh, Tristan, you're wondering which station went on Gallagher Shortcut this morning? I would say pretty much all of them. Alright, let's see. And then I'm actually looking forward to seeing some of the bigger spiders around and going around, so hopefully they'll be somewhere around here soon. I think the fact that that we've had this rain and then all of these creatures are starting to come around, then I'm sure it's a good thing. But it might be still a little while before we actually start moving around and we start going and seeing as many creatures as we are. However, I think maybe if we just need to see snakes or pretend that we're seeing snakes, we can always get a hold of Megan, because she's apparently seeing them everywhere. In her defense though, whenever I've left a window open or a door open, that's when the snakes come in and they just hang in there. Luckily the last one that we had in the room was a variegated bush snake, so it's a very pretty green looking snake with some darker green spots, so not venomous, normally not too much of a problem with it, but it was still a little bit stressful because all those snake handling courses that I've done, they actually don't teach you how to handle them. Well, if you've got the right tools it's fine, but I'm always a little bit scared of playing around with snakes and potentially venomous snakes because just don't have the experience, and I think it's something that you need to know how to do properly so that it's safe for the snake and also for the humans. So luckily the last one that I was faced with was not a venomous one, because the one prior to that was quite an adventure. So, Fran, you're saying that you would have a heart attack if you saw one in your room. Well, then it can be quite scary. But the last one, so not the non-venomous one, the previous one to that we had in the room, or at least that I had in my room, it was a Mozambican spitting cobra, and now they are known for spitting, hence the name. So you should have seen it. It was quite the scene. I was standing on top of a table trying to work out the thongs to try and get it out of the house, but also I was wearing sunglasses because in case it spits, but it was nighttime so I couldn't really see. It was a tragedy of a process. Okay, well, elephants, not nice for you to leave this poor cage dead here in the middle of the road. I don't think I'll be able to get it out, so we're gonna report it and hopefully somebody with a big tractor will be able to remove it from the road. And you see in front of us some elephant dung. I wonder if perhaps this is where Tristan had some elephant tracks or that big pile of elephant dung while he was busy tracking the lions. Probably somewhere around this area. They seem to have been everywhere, just breaking everything. Ali, you're wondering if I'm afraid of any type of insect. Well, to be very honest, I don't like venomous ones, so I treat them with respect just in case, but I am utterly terrified, cannot handle myself. Like, I become such a girl, it's horrible with the cockroach. Cannot handle cockroaches, they creep me out. Oh, no. Like, more than once, Tristan has seen me up a table, like, no. Give me a snake, will not handle a cockroach. Which always makes him laugh, of course, because he doesn't understand how my brain works, and I don't understand it either. I think it's because I had the misfortune when I was little of stepping on one with my bare foot after I had just showered, so after that, no, can't do it. So those ones, yeah, I'll stay far away from all of them. Don't like them, don't want to be near them, no. Doesn't really work for me. The rest of them, I find them interesting. But no, Lou apparently used to be very terrified of moths, which is interesting because if there's anything that this camp is moth central during the summertime. So luckily she got over her phobia. No option around here other than to get over it. Now let's see. Going back to Treehouse Dam, hopefully there will be a leopard drinking there. Come on, leopards! I'm sure they are somewhere around here just looking at us, as they all do, because we still gotta find VM that leopard. It's proving to be a little bit harder than expected, considering that we've had such a good cat streak lately, but I suppose it's only the natural order of things. We're gonna have to go back to the balance. Hopefully we won't go 20 days without a cat. Oh, did you see tracks? No. Oh, I got scared there. I thought maybe you were gonna say, I was like, oh, there's a flat tire after all the monkey orange we've driven upon today. Now, there is a termite mound there that is looking leopardy-like. But no, it is just part of the mound, which is unfortunate. But it does look like ears of a leopard or a head of a leopard where that knobthorn is. Sorry, false alarm. Carry on going. Let's see. Bloop, bloop, bloop. So apparently Hosanna is in Little Gowrie, which is a good thing to know. Now I've been wondering where he's been and why he hasn't been around. Alright, so let's just carry on having a look around here. Maybe we'll find somebody else. Maybe his sister will be around. Anyone, come little creatures. I think this area, this is probably where all those lions walk through. And then obviously everything has gone poof between lions and wild dogs. Not an easy day to be an Impala. Alright, let's have a look here. See if there's anything at Treehouse Dam. But while we check the dam, let's go over to Tristan and find out what the hyena den, oh sorry, if there's anything at the hyena den.
No. Again, nothing happening at the den. Now people are talking very loudly in my ear, so let's get rid of them. But no intima, no ribbon, nothing that I can find anywhere at this den site as well. Lots of tracks for hyenas going up and down, but no actual sign of them anywhere. I've sat here for a little bit now, just looking around, just trying to listen and hear if maybe there's some movement, but alas, it seems all quiet on the den front this morning. And we sat at Gwen's den for quite some time, but nothing there. And I believe that somebody was asking about the spider and what it looked like. Ben it was that was asking about the spider. So Ben, let me just clean my cell phone screen because Louise sent me a nice photo of it. There we go, that's better. So there is what the baboon spider looks like, a very tarantula-like looking spider. A lot of people will be very nervous to see that and will be quite creeped out about that spider. Now, in terms of its size, if we look over here, this is a leaf from a bush willow that is at the base of its leg over there, and bush willow leaves of that particular one that we have in camp can get quite big. So it is a variable bush willow that we have in camp, and so that baboon spider is probably about the size of my palm. That's what would be its rough sizing, maybe a little bit smaller than that. You can see they've got these very hairy legs, big bulky body with lots of fine hairs off them. And the reason why it's called a golden brown baboon spider, well, you can see, look at the coloration of the abdomen section. and the thorax has got a kind of goldy brown coloration to it. And the other species we do get here is called the horned baboon spider, and they're just not quite as common as these guys. These guys, we tend to see them quite a bit in this area. Nice to see though, nice that they're coming out, and hopefully we will see them a lot more on bushwalks. There's lots of evidence of them on bushwalks. We don't often see them because they're down in their holes and they've got this little sort of entrance, and you know, the only way to really see them is if they come up and they've got food and they've grabbed food, or if they're just sitting at the entrance. But generally with vibration they go down and hide out and try and camouflage and not stay out of the way of various predators. So not often that we get to see them, so really nice. And very active spiders at night. They tend to be a lot more active at night than they are during the day. During the day they tend to hide out and sleep, but at night they tend to be fairly busy individuals. Right, so no sign of anything. So I believe some of you think the spider is awesome, others not so much, and think that it is very creepy. Well, I think that's pretty much how the world is divided. Some that think creepy crawlies are awesome, and others that really don't like them. I think I'm on the fence. It depends on the creepy crawly. I like most of them. I just don't like centipedes. Centipedes creep me out. I don't like them at all. I find them to be of another planet. They are not from Earth. They seem to be able to survive a nuclear warhead, and they can just kind of crawl around and they look alien-like, and I don't know, there's something about them that I just don't enjoy at all. Other than that, I'm pretty kind of open to insects. I really like most insects that we get out here. There is another one that we get that is a flying insect, and I remember the other day it completely creeped out the crew because we hadn't seen them in a while, and we saw one just after a bit of rain the other day, and it's called a ship timber beetle. And so I forgot the name, and I sent a message to James because I remember that James had discussed it with me, and we kind of ID'd it at the beginning of the year, and I said to James, I can't remember the name of it, you know, can you help me? And he says, no, am I referring to a ship timber beetle? And I said, yes. And he said, oh, nasty, horrible creatures. I can't remember his exact words, but it was along the lines of they are vile things and not very pleasant, so not a nice beetle as well. So those were probably the only two that I really don't like. The rest I couldn't be bothered, and I actually find them very interesting and very cool. And in terms of the arachnids, I like all of them, even the red Romans or sun spiders or solifuges. They're pretty cool as well. In fact, watching a solifuge eat has got to be one of the most amazing things. They have these basically like long pincers that come, well, not pincers, but fangs, I suppose is the best way to call them, mouth parts, and they catch their food and then they put them in their mouth parts and they just go like this, and they basically surgically cut that little thing up into tiny pieces and then just eat it. It's amazing to watch, and it sounds like it would take a long time to do that. It doesn't. They get it done very quickly, and they're able to deal with said insect quite fast. I once watched a big solifuge eating a bush katydid, which was about that size, and it took all of about 3 minutes for it to completely devour everything. It was amazing to watch and super cool and interesting, and I would love to get that on a microscope segment in the tent. Imagine watching a solifuge going to town on a katydid under the microscope. It would be amazing to watch those things piercing. Of course, to get them to sit still long enough and under a microscope is probably near impossible, but one can hope and wish for these things to happen. Now I'm just kind of ghosting around Gallagher Pan now just to see if there's anything hanging around. Now, Van, I think I caught the end of this. You're asking how venomous are those spiders. I suppose it's the baboon spiders what we're referring to. I'm not 100% sure, but spiders, the baboon spider, in terms of to humans, not very venomous at all. It will be, obviously there's a little pain associated with being hit by a spider and fangs being injected into the skin, but otherwise really not too bad at all. You're not going to die from it, you're not going to fall ill, you're just going to maybe have a little slight bump there and a bit of a sort of sore redness and maybe a bit of itching, but nothing too bad from a baboon spider. They're actually not that harmful at all. It's the fact is that they're just big spiders, and that's how they overpower smaller prey items, and they'll be able to inject enough venom into those to kill them. But as a human, we've just got too much blood for them, for their venom to have too much of an effect on us. Right, I'm going to go check Gallagher Plan quickly, see if anything's happening here. There's lion tracks all over Gallagher Shortcut, which I'd expect because that's where we found them this morning. There was also tracks for a male leopard coming south from Buffelshoek, but has completely been driven over by all the tracks and the following the wild dogs, or all the vehicles that were following the wild dogs, so I have no idea which way it went. Unfortunately, they're completely obliterated. So while I hope for some sort of miracle around Galagopan and hopefully some sort of sign of little Shongololo, let's go across to Ali and see where she's been and what she's been up to.
Well, hopefully Tristan will find something around there. I think with the commotion of the wild dogs and everyone trying to get to the sighting this morning, very easily those tracks could have been overlooked and driven upon by pretty much everyone. So hopefully there will be something else to give the position of that leopard away, perhaps a monkey or a squirrel alarm calling. So let's hope that Tristan does get his miracle around Galagopan. We have been driving all around just trying to see if maybe we can come across some more tracks or anything else, but doesn't seem to be too many things around here. So I think maybe we're gonna go to, I don't even know where we're gonna go. Maybe to Zoe's or Rebecca's in that area. Go check a little bit more of the west, because we have done quite a bit of the east. And then we'll see what else is lurking around there. Maybe Shadow will be somewhere around this area, because she's been hanging around here. So hopefully, fingers crossed, she will. Now it seems like there are some dwarf mongoose on the road. Or just not on the road, just running all across. A bit of a panic as dwarf mongoose do. VM is very quick with his camera, and we almost managed to have a glimpse of one. But now they've carried on, and I think they're all around us, so they're busy feeding. However, the problem is that they're so small that it's very hard to spot them. You can just see the movement of some of them around there. There's one. Well done. And they're busy feeding and getting their day started and moving all around. Been lots of birds of prey all around this area, so it makes it also a little bit hard for them to be able to survive when there are so many birds of prey. And we saw the martial eagle at Treehouse Dam, but then it flew away. So I think maybe it had come down for a drink after devouring its kill. So let's head on to here, on to where the dwarf mongoose have invited us to go, and we'll see what we can find around this road, because it's probably one of the few that hasn't been driven upon this morning. And who knows, we are open for all sorts of miracles to happen. Although I wouldn't be counting on seeing wild dogs again this morning. I think we've had our share. But some zebras would be nice, some nice ellies would be nice. Perhaps seeing kahumas running back would be even better. If I can find a pangolin, that would be the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Even a porcupine in the daylight, an aardvark. I'm just hoping for anything. But we've been saying days like today are actually good. Look, all sorts of lion tracks. I'm sure this is where Tristan was driving today. Lots of tracks. So this is where the Nkahumas came. They came all the way from, well, they carried on walking, came down Galagopan, and then walked all the way across Quarantine, and then carried on that way, wherever it is that they ended up crossing to. Naughty cats, going the wrong way. I feel like sometimes Djuma is a bit of a corridor for the cats. It's just the land that they use to get from Bofosuk to Arethusa. And then every now and again it is that they sleep here. Or at least that's the way it's been lately. I'm just joking. Hopefully we'll have them again. The Djuma gym! That's what Lou's calling it, the exercise track. Yes, that is definitely one way to look at it. But the good thing is, on weather like today, well, I know that they are on a kudu kill, and that they'll probably be feeding on it for quite a while, and considering it's so many lions and cubs, I reckon that kudu kill is going to be finished quite quickly. So hopefully, if not later today, this afternoon, then maybe tomorrow we'll have them probably coming back with a very full stomach, and perhaps that'll make them a little bit lazier, and then they won't mission as much as what they normally do. If there is something that lions do, is walk, sometimes very far. Now, 3 of the Birmingham boys were said to be on a buffalo kill at Malamala. So we're all puzzling about why they're pushing so far, and I think the encounter with these 2 males just has set them on a full-on boundary patrol. We're going to make sure that no other lions come this way, and perhaps that's why they're stretching into some other areas of their territory or the fringes of their territory, just to make sure that there are no potential threats coming from that particular area, as a way of course, asserting their dominance. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's exactly what they're doing. But I'm not too sure if they have been found this morning. I haven't heard anything on the radio, but I wouldn't be surprised if they were. Quite empty around this area. I wonder if maybe it was around here that the dogs and the lions bumped into each other. And, well, in defense of the lions, there are a lot of dogs. Or at least a lot of them today, not to bump into them. No, not too much. Seems like Tristan hasn't or didn't get his Galago miracle, which I'm very sad to hear, but let's go over to him and hopefully send him a lot of luck so he can find something with a heartbeat. Oh.
Well, we have found a spotty creature. It's not the one that we were looking for, but, well, it's still spotted and still beautiful. And there strolls a big bull giraffe. Of course, now he's going to go into the thickest bush possible. Hopefully he'll emerge from it. There we go. There he's coming out. Unfortunately, the light is not great. It's a white, grey day, and the sun is starting to kind of peek through, so it's very bright, and it's kind of silhouetting everything that we're seeing, which makes it a little bit tough for Senzo, but there is our big bull giraffe. He's a beautiful colour as well. He's a dark kind of black coloration, and he's very curious about us. He was kind of watching us come up the bank, and I only spotted him at the last second. I was busy looking at his tracks, thinking to myself, those are quite fresh giraffe tracks. I wonder if there's not a giraffe around here. And then as I looked up in the road, there was said giraffe about 3 meters in front of us. So, well, just to the left of the road, that is. So nice to see it. There's been a lot more giraffe over the last few weeks than we've been seeing. And it's really, I'm sure, because a lot of the plants are starting to bud, we're starting to see a few flowers coming out and even leaflets on some of the trees, and that's probably helping us to be able to find these guys. They all move in en masse when they find certain food items, so particularly when any of the acacias are flowering, you'll find these guys fairly regularly in the area and spending a lot more time. So it's been super nice to have giraffe around again. I do like giraffe when they are these big bulls, and particularly when they've got these sort of dark colored coats. It's just a elegant animal to see striding around. It also just looks so awkward when it's kind of walking, and it's a bit sort of unbelievable. The first time I think you ever see a giraffe, I mean, I was a kid when I first saw a giraffe, but they just kind of defy one's belief in a way. And just the tall, massive, lanky animals loping through the bush. It's quite a strange sort of thing to see, and I love the images that we've been getting from Kenya of the giraffe, that side, of these big groupings of them striding through those plains. It is wonderful to see. Obviously here our giraffe are often obscured by a number of trees and shrubs and bushes, and so sorry, it was my fault with the camera. Is just wobbling a little bit at the moment. We're parked on a bit of a slope, and I keep releasing the brake and causing a bit of a wobble for Senzo, and also Senzo says he's got a few hiccups as well. So between my foot on the brake and Senzo's hiccups, I do apologize about the little wobble on the camera every now and then. But I was saying that we often have shrubs in front of ours and trees, and so we don't get quite as clear a view as what we see in the Mara, and it's just something unbelievable when we see those big groupings of them in those open grasslands. It's absolutely wonderful. And you can see the fork-tailed drongo behind, its tail sticking out underneath the chin of the giraffe. As the giraffe bends forward, we should hopefully see our drongo. Very typical to see them. There he is. And you can see that deeply forked tail that gives it its name, and it's typical to see them around large animals. Yesterday afternoon we had them with the elephants, and today, well, they're with the giraffe, and they will follow these big animals because the big animals disturb way more insects than the smaller animals do, and so lots of food items can be gained from following around giraffe. What I am surprised about is that there's no oxpeckers. Thinking of our avian friends, I would have thought that there would have been a oxpecker somewhere on this giraffe. Generally giraffe are covered in oxpeckers because unlike elephants who are below tick count and a low amount of parasites, these guys have plenty and will generally provide a nice food source for any oxpecker in the area. Right, we'll sit with our giraffe a little bit longer and see as he enjoys munching away on breakfast, but Ali seems to have a rather flighty animal, so let's quickly jump across to her before it runs away.
No, you horrible tiger. Okay, Lou says that you guys still managed to see it, which we're very happy about. It was just so peacefully sleeping on top of the termite mountain. It looked so funny because it was just gazing upon all of its land and just looking in the distance. But of course, it had to look away. Oh well, at least we saw it, and very likely it went all the way there, because tigers are also quite smaller creatures, so they need a vantage point. And if you're feeling a little bit asleep, probably the top of a termite mound is the best place to go and have a snooze, because then you can see everything approaching from quite a distance, and it will give you a bit of a chance to run away, which is perhaps what this little diker did. Just run away from us. Naughty diker. Now, we are still looking for, hopefully, Shadow. I'm not too sure if she's been found in the last day or two by any of the reserves nearby, but we'll carry on looking. I'm sure we'll be able to find her at some point. Let's go down here. Seems like this road hasn't been checked in a little bit, so maybe this will bring us a little bit of luck. We'll end up on the new road. Maybe we'll see Shadow somewhere around here. Hopefully on top of a termite mound. I won't be picky. Doesn't have to have a diker. We are going to go all the way down this road, but while we do that, let's go to Tristan, who's managed to hang on to his big, beautiful giraffe.
We have indeed. Our giraffe is loving the tree that it is busy feeding off. It is pulling branch by branch. You can see it. In fact, it's not even wasting time with leaflets. It's just taking the whole branch out of the tree and feeding on all those nutritious little leaves that are growing. So even though this poor tree has just come out of the winter, it's now feeling refreshed after some rain. Well, that's what happens when you're feeling refreshed, is you just get shoved down the throat of a colossal big bull giraffe. Quite funny just to watch this poor tree being absolutely smashed by this giraffe. Hasman, you're wondering how much a giraffe eats in a day. And well, this is quite interesting, because obviously we compare these kind of things to other large animals that we get out of here, like hippos and rhinos and elephants. And well, the giraffe eats completely differently to the way that those do. So you'll find elephants pack in massive amounts of nutrients, bad digestive system, they defecate out most of what they eat. In fact, 60% of what they're eating is really not absorbed as much as it should be, and so bits of nutrition are absorbed and the rest goes out. But what you will find with giraffe is that they have a different stomach altogether. So they have a 4-chambered stomach and are a ruminating animal. So they're something like a impala or a duiker, like what Ali just had now. And that means that they're able to maximize every bit of nutrients that they feed on. And so their amount of food that they eat in a day is far less than what we would see from an elephant. So an elephant's feeding on close to sort of 300 kilograms as a big bull elephant, or 600 pounds, whereas a giraffe is only probably getting about 35 kilograms of food a day, and so only about 70 pounds, which is a vastly less number than what we see out of the elephants. And the reason why is just because they absorb that much more nutrients out of it. They also don't have nearly as much space in their stomach to be able to have that much food in there. If you think of elephants' big bodies, whereas giraffe, while they are tall, long necks, long legs, their bodies are actually quite small, and so they don't have space for it, and therefore have to maximize everything that they eat. And it's also why they will target certain tree species that are far more nutritious. So they won't be like elephants that will just eat for the sake of eating, and zebras that will graze for the sake of grazing and just bulk graze even bad nutrition plants and grasses and those kind of things. And you'll find with giraffe, they'll target only the tastiest, most nutrient rich plants that are out here and feed off those to sustain themselves. So that's why the acacias with all those sharp thorns and buffalo thorns are high up on the menu for giraffe. My World, Your Music. This giraffe, I mean, it's difficult because we're much lower at the moment, so it makes it appear that much bigger. But it is a fully grown, big adult male giraffe, so it's probably anywhere between 5 and 5.5 meters, which in feet would be, I would say, probably be about 25 feet, maybe a little bit more than that, somewhere there. It really is a massive individual. It's big. It is a individual that is well developed and like I say, is an adult. So between 25 and 27 feet, somewhere in that general vicinity. It is a very large individual, and it's difficult to give a sense of scale to what this is. I mean, if I had to go and stand there, I think my head would probably be just where his legs meet his chest. That's probably where my head would have gone, and so he still has this body and then his neck area that goes up from there. So he's a massive individual, and one that is in the prime of his life. Now, if you look on his head structure, you can see that this individual is not an old giraffe. He is an adult, but he's not an ancient giraffe. So when we think about giraffe, we'll often think about sort of how big they are and their size, but how to age giraffe is actually, a lot of it is to do with the head itself. So if you see on the top that he's got his ossicones, which are quite big and thick and fairly bald, but on the middle part of his head, so between the nose and the ossicones itself, there is this kind of bump that you see there. Now that is a calcification of the skull. In old giraffe, you'll find that calcification gets thicker, more knobbled, and you'll find it going all the way down the head, and it actually sometimes even splits the skin, and you can see bits of those sort of bumps coming through the skin. So this guy has quite a developed bump, but it's not as knobbled and as sort of big as what we would see from really old giraffes. That, coupled with the fact that he's got fairly sort of clean ears and not too tatty, would mean that this giraffe is just come out of sort of his youthful years and is in the prime of his life at the moment. So I would say he's probably anywhere between 10 and 12 years, somewhere in that general vicinity, because he does have some sort of development of that calcification, but it's not massive just yet. But he's big, that's for sure. Getting back to the original point, is that he's a big individual. Adele, you're asking if we've ever seen the one-eyed bull giraffe again in this area. I haven't seen him for quite some time. I know that some of the other guys have seen him. Taylor saw him the other day, and before she went up to Kenya. And I'm not sure if Ali has seen him, but in the last few weeks, definitely not. Since I've been on my own and in this sort of month, I have not seen him. I'm sure he's around. As I was saying just now, as we've seen very little in the way of giraffe in this area over the last little bit. There hasn't been too many of them. The last 2 months, we've struggled a little bit for giraffe, and so I'm sure he's around, and I'm sure he'll make an appearance once again in this general vicinity as giraffes start moving in and females are around. So we find the males kind of coming in as well after the females and hoping for the best and hoping for a bit of a mating, right? So I'm sure we will see him. And the fact that he's got one eye, I mean, it obviously will hinder his movement and hinder the way that he does things, and he won't be able to see as well. And giraffe rely quite heavily on their sense of sight. It doesn't mean that he won't survive. I mean, he, at the end of the day, is a big, strong, powerful animal, and the only thing that can really go after a bull giraffe of that size would be lions. And we know that the Angama pride, at the end of the day, has not been on any giraffe carcasses, because a giraffe carcass is not something that just goes unnoticed out here. And so I'm sure he's pretty much fine and just moving around, and he'll still be able to hear and still be able to see. Just his depth perception and I suppose his depth perception is not great anyway, given where his eyes are on the sides of his head. It's just that his field of view to the right or left, whichever side that eye is damaged, will be limited, and he'll just have to move his head around a little bit more. But otherwise, he'll still be able to see out of the one eye and still be able to pick up any signs of danger. Maggie, the social structure of the giraffe is a very loose one. In fact, it's the loosest social structure out of all of our animals here. Giraffe have no dominant males. They have very few signs that they are territorial in any way. In fact, they just move around wherever there's food, and you'll find males and females mix and match and kind of go in and out. Females will go off and have their young ones by themselves, males on their own like this, males together in small bachelor groups, males and females together, just females. It's all very mixed and very social. And in fact, some of the studies that have been done show that giraffe very seldom will stay in the same herd for more than a 24 to 48 hour period. They're mixing and matching all the time, and so very common to see bull giraffe on their own. They tend to be a lot more on their own than the females. Generally, when you find females, there should be another grouping of, well, they should be in a group of them, or they with a small little calf at that stage, or they have their little baby with them. They won't be on their own very often, but you will find bull giraffe very, very commonly walking around as individuals like this, and so it's not an uncommon thing at all. Did you see his tongue coming out there? Always so nice when their tongue comes out. He has a massive, massive tongue. His tongue will be over 35 centimeters long, so it really is a long tongue that gets pulled out, and he's pulling up branches towards the face to be able to pick them and then feed off them. And you can see how quickly that goes down. OD Farming, you say you love how giraffes provide the same calmness as elephants. Exactly, they are one of those animals that you can just sit in. It almost feels relaxing to be with them. They've got this sort of elegance and this grace about them, and I think it's part of it is the size thing. Both elephants and giraffe captivate you in that they are massive and that they are unique and funny structure to them, and you kind of sit with them, and they tend to be placid animals when they're feeding. Both animals don't tend to be too excitable and move around too much, and so sitting with them and just watching them gives you that kind of sense of awe, but also the sense of calmness that you just kind of can't help but just enjoy being around them and relaxing with them. They have that relaxing feeling about them. I find that the herd antelope are moving around too much and kind of doing lots of different things, whereas these guys tend to be a lot better. Now, I believe Ali, who's, well, sometimes can be a little bit on the crazy side, has gone completely mad and is now driving and doing a safari in reverse.
Tristan, what kind of comment is that? I was reversing because we managed to find a nest with a beautiful vulture, and then the one there on the left hand side, that's the chick. That probably hatched sometime during July, and you can see that it's very tiny and pretty. And then onto the right, then it's one of the adults. So it's a little bit hard to tell, but you can see, you can almost see them clearly, the two of them hanging around in there, which is quite cool. Like, I hadn't realized that there was a vulture nest around here, but I'm very happy to have found one, because now we can monitor the movements of this fantastic little chick. You guys, so nice to see you. So, have you gone to sleep? Seems like maybe someone is a little bit tired and has gone down pretty much on its own nest, which is something very nice to see. You don't get to see them on their nest all that often, but it's very nice that now that we have been able to find it. And like I said, often they will nest in trees like this, dead trees, because it's a little bit easier for them than to fly back in, because then you can imagine being a vulture with such a large wingspan, the trees, or the branches rather, get in your way quite a bit, so they'll often go either on top of the trees or they'll go in areas where they can just easily swoop in and then fly in there. I think this is a particularly good one because there's a lot of we'll have a conversation about it hopefully in a sunny day when we can see a little bit better, but there's a lot of mistletoe around it that allows the nest to be a little bit more hidden. So mistletoe is a parasitic plant, but I will wait for a sunny day to let you know all about this, because I'm sure now that we know that these are here that we're going to come back and have a look at them. Now normally they start building their nest around about between July and September, and then the little chick will stay in the nest for about 100 days or so, and then it's going to start flying off into its own. I would like to say that it's about 100 days, but I can always check the book just to make sure that I'm not lying to anyone or that I'm making things up. It sounded like a bit of a short time. So I'm almost there on my page, and then hopefully we'll be able to have a look, as these vultures have also been helpful today in helping us find the wild dogs. Let's see. White-backed vulture, most common vulture in savannas, blah blah blah, blah blah. Nope, doesn't say anything about it. No, it doesn't give any information about it, so I will have to get back onto that and double check the facts. I do think that it's about 100 and 190 days, but I could just be confusing it with the fledging time of one of the eagles, which wouldn't be surprising. Beautiful. I think it is that time of the day now where we are slowly going to start heading back, and hopefully Amanda will have a very nice breakfast for all of us, because it's been a very interesting, very full of adrenaline morning, so that's made me feel quite hungry, I think, before time. So I think we are going to thank you all for joining us on the drive this morning. I think it was fantastic. There was been lots of excitement with Tristan tracking and letting us know what the wild dogs had been doing with the lions at night, and then of course finding the wild dogs, and then finding them again, I think that was an extra bonus. But I think this afternoon, hopefully, we're going to start focusing on some of the beautiful cats that we have around this area. We know Hosanna is a little gowry, so hopefully he's going to start coming back up. And if not, then I would like to start checking on these too, because it'll be quite interesting to monitor the growth of this little one. But until this afternoon, we'll see you all guys for a sunset safari.